Hello and welcome to Roasting the World, where we offer an adversarial perspective on today's cultural issues. We do it for the intelligent culture. Introducing our hosts,
Dan Teray.
and
L.A. Fisher.
I'm Keenan Robinson. Today's topic to be roasted will be dating. Is texting enough? Cheating? Old versus new school? Is chivalry dead? All things are on the table. So I guess I'll start off and say, as a gentleman, I am not opposed to dating, but I need a non-masculine woman. I need someone that fits the mold because I'm an alpha male, and when I talk, I don't want to have to argue and yell and all of those type of things. So I have a certain criteria that has to be met off the rip before we can date. So in that initial conversation, in the first 2 to 5 minutes of meeting a person, it's hard to tell because people can put on masks for quite some time. But, I'm not a texter either. I'm not just going to have a relationship through text. I need to actually see you, talk on the phone. Maybe I'm old school in that manner, but I mean, I don't know. But I'm in the 40 plus club, so I'm not a youngster. So I do things a little bit different. So we're gonna start off with the lady, and Miss D. And what are your thoughts on this topic?
On dating in general, I feel like the dating game has for sure evolved.
Okay.
For sure, I feel like people are embracing all types of different lifestyles. There almost isn't a status quo the way it used to be, a way of doing things, dating, to getting married, having children. Like,
You mean
the whole game has changed just as far as like the order of operation and how people do things.
you mean like polyamorous relationships? Or?
I mean, a lot of people are doing there's all types of polys out there.
Well, what can you tell us what that means?
What?
Polyamorous or?
I mean, I'm not an expert in it or anything.
Okay.
But I would say being poly, anything would imply that you're living in a more open relationship.
Okay.
More freedom, less restrictions, more kind of like I don't necessarily think it's anything necessarily just kind of, I think people's mind goes to the freaky stuff. I don't think it's necessarily freaky. It's more like a free love type of ambiance. Less hate, more love.
So what are the responsibilities in one of those situations if my woman or my man is out doing other things, but the responsibility level is still there? I need you to give me room and board and all of those type of things. I'm going to go ahead and go to L.A. Fisher real quick because he's looking like he's ready to say something.
What do you know about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know nothing, but it just seems like that it's not. I got to hold up. I don't know. I'm scared to say something.
Nah, be free.
It's not the responsibility while the other person's off doing whatever they're doing. You're responsible for living your life,
Right.
and being happy in your life.
Okay.
And then as you doing whatever that entails, when you link back up with this other person that's your favorite person, then y'all got other things to talk about.
Okay. Well, and I do understand that, but again, I refer back to there's a hierarchy of things and there's a way. When I go on a date, traditionally, I would pay. And some women that I've dated said, hey, I'm not a gold digger. You paid the last couple of times. Let me pay this time. And as a man, I say, okay, cool. And I accept that and I let them pay. And I don't feel bad about it because I know that I'm handling my business as the man. But I'm not a freeloader, and I'm not going to let my woman, because see, I'm saying my woman like a traditional situation, not in the poly situation.
I was going to say that's not poly then.
Right. So in a traditional sense, I from what I have seen in my old school ways, is that I'm supposed to be, the provider. I'm going to work. My wife doesn't, or my girl doesn't have to work per se because I'm taking care of the bills. If we have children, she's making a home for us. and I'm helping with that, but I'm also taking care of the lion's share of what's supposed to happen, or we're both working professionals and we're coming together to do something bigger. And that's just one perspective, and I know everyone has different perspective, but that's just my perspective. So you guys can jump in there anything you want to say. Because you were married, right?
For about 17 years.
Okay.
So to hear a female say that the dating game has changed is interesting because now I'm new to the dating game. I've only been divorced for a year.
Okay.
So it has changed and it has evolved, and like my standards are a little bit different apparently than some of these females out here when they're trying to, I guess, date me.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
So since I've been married for 17 years, my definition of dating is I'm going to date to see who it is that I want to marry again. If
Okay.
I'm to get married again.
Okay.
Not, oh, now we're dating, you can't talk to nobody else.
Right.
Well, I don't want to belong to anybody just yet.
Right.
Because that's what my marriage was.
Right.
You meet somebody, well, are you married? And then it changes the whole,
Perspective.
right, well, let me go ask
my wife if I can go.
Wife.
A lot of guys do say that. My cousin been
almost said
married.
master.
No, it's not man. But you'll say, "Can I do this?" Well, because you care about their feelings. You care about how what you do affects them. Because if you're going to, let's say,
because
well, it depends on the situation.
your property's out for rent.
If you go into your ex-girlfriend's house because she wanted to see you, now are you going to talk to your wife first about that, or you feel like, oh, she's just going to call you, oh, I'm over Cindy's house, and then she's going to have a problem? You need to keep home happy. You got to cover your bases, because if you don't, it's going to cause problems.
So here's the perks of not dating,
Right.
in a scenario such as that. You got an ex-girlfriend and you cared about the person, clearly. You know what I'm saying? Y'all weren't meant for the bondage part.
Okay.
But you go over there and you still show them love in life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got like a life partner with your
Right.
exes.
Right.
But you don't belong to nobody. So then when you do go over to the next person, they're just excited that you came and spent time with them, because clearly you could be wherever you wanted to be.
Right.
So the fact that you're free to be wherever and you choose to be over here,
Right.
then there's an appreciation. But if you belong over here, then you're supposed to be over here. What you doing over there? You belong over here. And like, so
No.
I'm not so apt to just belong to somebody again just yet. So let me just date to see who I'm supposed to belong to.
So
if
let
I'm
me-
gonna be on a leash
so
and
let
can't
me-
be in certain places because it's disrespectful to someone else.
So let me ask you this. So do your responsibilities as a man or your responsibilities as a woman change? Because are you having sex with these people? Are you coming over when they got a big bug to kill? Are you hanging up stuff with the hammer? Are you fixing their tires? Are you paying bills? Or are you just strictly on a certain level to where like friends? We like each other, but we're friends. So that means I don't have any responsibilities to you. And if your car breaks down, I'm not the one that you call.
Okay, so here's what I've learned.
Uh-huh.
If a man is polite, has chivalry, then there's a rarity of them out here. Especially as I travel to different coasts, they're like, oh, you got some southern charm to you.
Okay.
And I don't know. I guess it's
Does that make you a simp though? If somebody says, "Hey, I need all my bills paid," and
Whoa.
right, that's part of it now. That's part of the Southern
Anybody.
hospitality. It's like I
So-
need this
so-
done,
so-
and right,
So, I guess
because you can't give.
I'm used to dealing with a certain caliber of a woman,
Uh-huh.
and there are so many educated and independent women out here,
Right.
who are established and don't need a man,
Okay.
because there was an era or a generation where they were taught to not need a
That's
man.
true.
And they don't need a man.
Okay.
So there's so many women that don't need their bills paid. Like they
Yeah.
got
Okay.
money, they got their career, and they just want somebody to appreciate what they do bring to the table.
Now,
Because they can bring a lot.
hold on.
Value that.
Now, when you say a person don't need a man, you always need feminine and masculine energy.
But that doesn't mean you have to have them as a man or a woman and possess them.
No, not. I'm not.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
just-
Like you can need male and feminine energy in your life, and
Right.
you have that through your friends. and family.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying about
So
the
you
friend
don't
thing
need-
and the responsibilities of of the person that is your friend or that because this is how I feel. If you have a child by somebody or if you have children out here, if a woman or man is raising that child by themselves, that child is missing something. And you can say what you want to about I don't need no man or I don't need no woman and I can do this by myself, but it is not fair to the child. First of all, wait, that's one thing. Second point is the way that people think is they value money more than they do those relationships. So yes, they're going to say, yeah, I don't need no man because I can pay my bills. But what happens when something happens where you do need a man? When you call 911, who are you expecting to come? A woman or a man? A man. So you need a man. No, a police officer. So and then most of the time they're males. And when something happens, I do believe that we need to have a way of addressing the fact that we need each other in whether it be friends, whether it be in whatever type of situation that it is. And we can't discount the other and say, I can do everything by myself. We're not meant to be alone out here. Even if even with the LGBTQT.
I didn't say be antisocial.
No, exactly. I don't think those people are alone. I think that people find what they need specifically through different revenues, and it's not always, hey, bam you over the head, you my wife. Or you my husband, throw him over the shoulder and run away with him. Like, that's not always,
so it's a
that's
creative
not the only
family?
way.
It's like a creative environment.
I mean, me personally,
family?
I've learned this through not having any real family, any blood family.
Right.
My family are the people that I choose to come into my life to bring value to my life, for me to bring value to their life.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I find myself sometimes very happy to be single because I'm fulfilled with all these little things that I keep trying to find in a person that you can't necessarily always find a person to possess as your mate, but you can find that happiness in pieces within people. And if you're happy with yourself as a whole, you don't feel like I need a man. I mean, you don't feel like that's a need. That's just an accessory of bettering your life. And I may feel that way because I've been married and divorced, and I've never not had a boyfriend. It's just always been, will you go with me? You can be happy alone.
Right.
If you
should start happy
things.
alone.
So I feel like it starts with self because once you get to a place where you've had things in life, it's not that exciting. If you've had money, it's not, I'm going to do whatever to get it. I've experienced that. I enjoyed that. There were some aspects of that I enjoyed, but if I can't find another mate who possesses those qualities, I'm okay with people or friends who have pieces of that, and that can help you through feeling like you need a person. Because honestly, we're coming to a time where I feel like there are some people who are going to have to be okay with not having. What do you do when you can't find a mate? What do you do when, I
feel differently.
are exploring alternative lifestyles?
I had to rely on God, when I went through that experience. So there's an interesting twist to the whole dating thing and having children. So some people don't bring people around their children until they're serious about a person. Because they don't want a bunch of people around their child. And I'm experiencing why that's a thing.
Okay.
So I've been married for 17 years, so I've accumulated female friends that were respectable and platonic. But a bunch of female friends. Now that I'm single, I have more female friends on the forefront.
What does that mean? Like they trying to go past the platonic level? And that could be...
Or you're just more free to have friends.
The assumption that I have a bunch of females around. My son posed me with the question of, Dad, are you out here hoeing?
Oh.
Yeah, people assume that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Now, be honest with yourself. Out of this group of females, do you feel like you might be hoeing?
Let's define.
Okay,
now
the definition of this. If you've had sex with more than 2 in this group, in a 6 months period, maybe? Let's just put some terms on it.
Yeah.
I'm asking, for the audience. Because people out here may not think that that's what it is.
I think it depends on your intention.
It depends on your interpretation of
of
what
you
you're
think
doing.
someone's
Because if
intentions
you're
are.
platonic friends, that doesn't mean you're having sex with these people. That means we
Right.
can go hang out, we can chill.
Right.
But if you're having sex with all these people,
Yeah.
then that is a whole different ball game because that's swapping spirits.
You know,
that's
right.
that's
So-
setting expectations because when you have sex with a person, that means y'all are bonded some type of way.
Absolutely.
Especially for women, but for guys, we may be able to do certain things and not feel that, but for them,
But the
Oh,
woman
see,
that you're
it's not
dumping
even-
it
it's
into
not even-
feels it,
so,
so still
like-
bringing it
right.
to your table.
I mean, I experienced a lot before I was even married. So
How old were you when you got married?
20 something.
Oh man, you didn't experience a lot before you got married. You were 20 something, dude.
You know,
you was a
you
baby.
don't know what I was
You
doing.
thought you were, but you really didn't. You know.
Even if maybe maybe it's perception because
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
someone who got
No,
married
yeah.
early and didn't have a chance to, in
Go
your
out and do
opinion,
it.
experience life, like you ain't experienced life. Why are they deserving of the label of being called a hoe because they want to go back and experience life when they may have lost that opportunity because they made different choices when they were younger? Don't you still have to experience life to know what you want eventually?
I mean, as a older people, 30 plus,
All right. So
if you're not dating exclusively, or if you're dating multiple people and you're having sex with those people, that could be problematic. It's a lot of things that are going on out here that you can't get rid of. It's a lot of things that are going on out here that cause babies or just crazy.
Right.
Because
It
there's some
sounds crazy.
crazy out here that like think, oh, I could just have sex with this person, or I could just leave this
No.
person on. They're gonna come bust your windows
I don't
out and
think
try to
that's a
fight
great
you.
idea.
Because
So-
that happens, brother.
So this is roasting the world adversarial views, right? So Genghis
like,
Khan
you know.
has like 2.5 million descendants.
Uh-huh.
Right,
on
right,
Earth
right.
now. So
Right.
like that's a
But he had wives and he could take care of all of them.
How
He
do
was
we know
taking care,
this?
because I mean, that's a history book. You can look that up. These are wives or concubines, people that he may have owned or slaves, but he took care of. He fed them. He made sure that they were safe.
I
And
mean, he was
Okay, so he did his thing as a man.
right. And if you're not doing that and you're still
right,
doing
so,
that's
so
what
if he
goes
got-
back to
if
that
he got
responsibility.
millions of
I mean, that's
descendants,
polygamy.
So
Right.
if I have to answer your
Responsibly.
question, 2 sexual partners in 6 months.
That's just a number I put
I
out
know.
there. Okay, go ahead.
That could be a
The condemnation of the church is
Oh.
you going to
Oh,
hell,
oh,
and
oh.
so you know
Okay.
oh.
Okay. Now that's a whole different level of it because then the marriage thing and the dating and
There's a
trying
standard
to
set within the church
right, of what
that
you're trying to
says
do.
that you shouldn't be having sex with these people,
Or
but
I
you
know.
should be dating to marry.
and taking care of that
ultimately
responsibility.
we are mammals to
right.
some degree. You know.
Okay.
I have a question. Why do men feel that it's so important to have sex? Like, even if there's a man who's dating with the intention of marriage,
Right.
why is it so important? Which is, I might know the answer to this question. Why is it so important to sample
Oh, that's
the
super
meal
important.
before you
Okay.
purchase the
Let
meal?
me ask you a question. Now, the woman wants to know, is this man working? Right? That's a sample. Is this man
But
got
these are-
earning?
no,
Does he have
that's
earning
not-
potential? Does he? Because women view things differently than men. Women don't necessarily value the
So you
sex
guys value
part.
sex
Yeah, of
highly?
course, yes.
That's why.
And women value a man being able to provide for her, or a man being able to be security for her, and being good in the bed. You know, so if you're not a high earner and you're out here making $20,000 a year, and you're a simp, that woman needs to know those things before she says "I do" to you, so that she can make a decision. So that's a sampling. And with guys, people have bad hygiene. You might come over a woman's house, she doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know how to clean. She doesn't take care of her man well. She's not agreeable. She likes to argue. Those things you need to know about before you jump into that situation. So the dating game is super important if you're dating to be in a long-term situation, even a long-term friendship. You need to know who this person is, because there's some people that I talk to on the phone for 5 minutes and they're getting on my nerve and I got to get off the phone with them. I need to know that. There's some people that's going to turn their back on you when stuff gets tough. I need to know that so that I won't invest my time and my money in dating or going on trips or introducing you to my kids. These are all things that are super important, and sex is part of those things, unless you say, hey, we're not having sex on
Until
the
marriage.
front end. But then I don't need to be spending all my money, all my time.
Because a woman
either.
doesn't want to have
So-
sex until marriage?
No, because we both need to be a give and take. Like, why is it that I have the responsibility of providing something? What are you doing?
So let me ask. Let me chime in on
Everything
the
but
question.
sex?
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not.
Wait a minute. Actually, the people I date would not say I don't do anything.
Not
Like,
you.
like,
So-
yeah. You
But
said,
I'm
no,
saying-
you're not. I'm like, wait a minute.
not
I'm not dating.
you, not you. But I'm saying women
No, I
in
might
general
not.
out here. What are they bringing to the table outside of
So
sex?
what I heard her
And
question
then-
was
Humanity.
is
Right.
Which
why
is
do
thing-
men
something to
want
build
a
on,
taste
not
before they
sex.
get married?
Okay.
Now, from my own point of view, at this point, don't take this the wrong way. I've had a lot of sex in my life.
So then that's why you're asking
So,
who's hoeing.
so now that I'm
Don't take this wrong.
dating, but any person logically who finds a partner should have a lots of sex. 3 times a day for however many days at some point in the relationship, if it's going down like that.
I've met a lot of women that say that they're really not super interested in sex. They do it because the man wants to do it. Not even girls that I've dated, but just women in general that I've had conversations with, therapy sessions, or just friends of mine that say, hey, this is cool, but I don't feel like it all the time. When I feel like it, I'm going to push the issue, but when I don't, and he always wants it. The
And
guy, her
those
man,
type of girls are typically the ones that can wait till they get married to have sex.
Yeah.
because they don't have that.
So right-
Either that or
desire.
they're not, you have to be inspired to want to do it, I think, as a woman. It's not
Inspired.
I have an erection, what do I do with this erection? It's an inspiration that even clicks in order for your brain to be like, I really want to do that.
So what things have to be in place for that inspiration? Say you have a good man. He goes to work every day. He comes
Chemistry,
home. He takes care of you.
happiness.
Y'all, but happiness comes from within yourself, right? We talked about that.
Not
And-
when it comes to partnerships. I think I was listening to somebody on the radio. It's been about 10 years ago, and it was a different radio station. I'll say, not your typical that we would listen to, but they were talking about what it is that really makes a relationship last, or what really makes a person feel happy in longevity with a person. And at the end of the day, they brought up a good point that a lot of people felt like it was how that person makes you feel about yourself.
Okay.
What they bring out of you, that's the magic.
Okay.
And if that person just doesn't bring something out of you, you can't pinpoint it and say you don't hit my vibrations. Like, you can't pinpoint what it is. It's just that sometimes when you meet somebody, magic happens.
So is that
There's a tingle, there's chemistry, there's something that's beyond words.
sounds
That's
like
like,
the-
I want
All right.
more than just to be.
that sounds like a honeymoon phase of a relationship? Because
This is
people
what
hold on,
relationships
people
are
are like that at the beginning. Sometimes you meet a person is on, but then as time passes and you get to know this person more, then that kind of disses down. Also,
Chemistry is-
if you're
is
already
long
married,
run.
do you not think that you need to know already if that person touches your tingle spot? If you're already married,
Absolutely.
you're already married to this person, and then because I talk to a lot of married men, and they say the same thing: sex goes down after you're married. It does not go up, except for at first. It goes down.
They should possibly work on building other things first.
like what?
Well, I mean, because I'm the only woman on a panel with
Right,
two
that's
men
why
right
I'm
now, and
listening
you
to
guys are like, we want to know what the sex is about first. But then you turn around the next sentence and you say, I know lots of people who are married and the sex goes downhill.
Right.
Probably because you put that first. That was not the right move. That's not the right move. It's about
Okay.
other things. It's about, like, for me, I'm really spiritual, so it's about how you make my heart palpitate.
Right.
It's about how my stomach feels when you're around. It's about the high that I get in my brain being around you. It's about chemistry. Those things surpass everything. Even the point when your erectile dysfunction kicks in,
Right.
there's still this chemistry going that's like, I don't care if it doesn't work. I love you.
Right.
I will,
What about that compromise piece where
That's-
your man is a hardworking man?
You would love
and
him.
he
Look at
wants
his face.
and he wants like your man wants you because everybody you want your significant other to want you.
Yeah.
And if I keep as my wife coming on to you and you keep telling me no, I don't feel like it, I'm tired and all this, that's
chemistry's
going to
gone.
stop me from coming on to you.
There's-
And there should be like a compromise in there to where it says, okay, twice a week we're going to do this, and sometimes that doesn't work, or whatever the situation may be. But do you not think that there are some times when because there's sometimes men do stuff that they don't feel like doing because y'all want it done, right?
Yeah.
We might not feel like doing something, whatever it may be. But if we tell you
But
guys
if that
no, we don't
chemistry
feel
is
like
there, there's like it
Right.
don't even matter. Like, you know how it is when you in love with somebody and somebody you don't care about calls and it's like, yo, you feel like running 20 minutes away, da 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 da. You're like, I don't really feel like it. But that person calls and it's like, ooh, I got energy all of a sudden. I'll do that because there's something going on chemically that incites the brain, and it's like you got that up and go.
So what if it's your person? What if that's your guy? What if that same person 10 years down the line does the same thing?
Hopefully that can be like something that's reciprocated back and forth.
It is, let's say it's
Like,
reciprocated.
It bounces back and forth. So
Because-
both parties will be in the same space.
Because there's going to be times when you call him and he may not feel like doing something, but he's going to do it just because it's you. And you're going to do stuff just because it's him. And that's what I'm going back to as far as just the sex piece of dating or relationship having, when sometimes you don't feel like doing stuff, but you do it for that person. There are certain things that I may not do on a regular basis, but for specific individuals, I may have to say, you know what, this person is special, so I'm going to do this. Even when it comes to texting. There was a young lady that I was dating that all she does is text. She's a little younger than me. She's in her early 30s. And I was like, you don't want to talk on the phone? Like, you just want to tell you don't want me to pull up? And she's just texting all day, like every day, good morning, good night, all of that stuff. But I felt like the connection wasn't where I wanted it to be because I'm used to hearing voices and seeing faces and feeling your energy around me. And I communicate that to that person, and they tried to do better because there's a compromise there. And then I did better because I was like, okay, we can text something.
Okay.
You know, that compromise is important because there are going to be things in every relationship you don't want to do.
Right.
You know? So go ahead, LA Fish. You look like you got something to say over there with your head shaking.
How do you feel about somebody just texting you constantly and that's it?
It don't bother me
Okay.
too much. Although there is a phase in my life to where I don't have my phone on me at all.
Right.
So if somebody sets an expectation on a time frame on me to respond back, then that might be an issue.
Oh, the texting back thing.
So like,
Yeah.
but it's not that I'm not. I smile on text messages. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I enjoy my friends, and if they texted me, then they care about me. So I appreciate the energy that somebody's giving me to try to brighten my day, see how I'm doing.
So bring it back to dating though. If it's
But
your
when you're
girl,
trying to
so
date
your
them.
wife, now is
Or
she
somebody
texting
you're
you
trying to date.
at 8:00 in
I'm
the
not trying-
morning, and you, I'm saying if not, just, let's not make it
I
personal.
like being single. I'm not trying to
Right.
date, but I got a bunch
But
of
when you were
that I do
married,
stuff with.
when you were married,
So-
right? If your wife texts you at 8:00 in the morning, you don't text her back till 5:00 when you get home. It might be a
That's
problem.
right.
Okay,
That's
so
different.
I had an
different.
issue with. Oh, that's getting deep. But like just my person rolling over and giving me a kiss in the morning. But then I see her on her phone. I'm like, okay, you texting somebody good morning,
Oh.
but you can't roll over and give me a kiss good morning.
Responsibility.
Like, and there ain't no good morning off in my phone for me to wake up to from her. But then a friend might be like, oh, hey, Marvin, how you doing?
Well, that other person, obviously,
then
like
it's
she
like-
said, made her stomach tingle. It made her feel like, and what can you do about that? And you're the man that they chose to be married to. See, that's what I'm saying right there. That could be problematic.
Well, that's why you make these types of decisions and go through this thought process before you get married.
Exactly.
But I was trying to keep from going to hell. So I was
There's
trying
a
to get married,
huge
so I didn't
difference
have
between
premarital
dating.
sex.
Speak on that.
What's that?
Hold on. Speak on that.
So the religious aspect taught me that I was going to hell if I had premarital sex. So I was trying to to find my person,
Right.
like ferociously from a very young age, because I did have a lot of testosterone and energy. And I didn't want to sin. I didn't want to fornicate. I wanted to find my person so I could
Right.
be spiritually enlightened, I guess. More focused on the temple, whatever the steps are in it. But that had me on a super search for my wife at a super young age.
Right.
Not focused on anything else, not a career, nothing else. I knew God would have me be wherever He needed me to be, but I was trying to find my wife because I knew I wanted to have sex.
Okay, so that kind of goes back to
A
what
lot.
Dan Teray was was
Why?
saying about us. Men have that
Without going to hell.
testosterone. Not everyone. Let's just say not everybody, but a lot of men have that
My boys are 7 months
testosterone,
apart.
and
It's terrible.
we want
Bad
to
feelings.
have sex. We want
Yeah.
that, and women may not even come into it looking at it that way.
No.
So that's why there's that compromise, because a woman knows this man wants me. This man wants me in all the ways, but that's energy draining also. So they have to be putting something back into that cup. They cannot just take. They have to be putting something back into it in order for it to be reciprocated properly, because just taking sex from a person and just taking that energy is not healthy for either side, because one person is going to be heavy, the other person is going to be feel unfulfilled.
Right,
So
and
there has
most
to
of the
be
time,
that
sadly, it ends
yeah.
up being the woman with the shorter end of the stick when it comes to the fulfillment, because the man is doing the taking, and the woman is having to take and receive, not trying to be, but I'm literally
Not
and emotionally, you're taking someone into your body,
Well, in today's society,
and then you have to carry that.
with
so,
our modern women, it's a little different, because they view men differently. They view men from what I heard, not from no, this is not written in no book. This is what I heard. They view men as child makers. They don't even want to get married. They want you to have a kid. They want you to pay child support. They want you to pay some bills.
I don't know about that.
That's what they're saying, because they don't feel like they need you for anything else. They don't need your masculine energy. They don't need you to do nothing for them unless it's a specific one that, because this is what I've found when I dated this particular young lady. I learned a lot from this particular young lady. She said to me, "Why can't I just do what I want and then you just still be there when I get ready?" Or she said, and I'm like, I'm giving what she wants to be able to be out into the world and do whatever she wants with no responsibilities. And she was dating this guy who lived with his mom, no car, no job, using her car, and all these type of things before me. And I said, I don't need you to be a mom to me. I don't need to use your car. I don't need to come over your house and wash clothes. I don't need to come live with you. I need you to step your game up and be actually a woman to me. Mm-hmm. And those things, so she hit me with, well, how come I can't just go out into the world and do whatever I want and you just be at home waiting for me when I get back, basically?
What is she going into the world to do?
Dating other people, having sex with
I'm
other
just
people,
asking for
whatever she
specifics.
wants to do. And then I'm supposed to still want to pay bills and do all of these. Right. And I'm saying this is what the modern woman has set herself up to be, because she doesn't need a man. And I feel like that's just not going to work for me in the way that I do things.
Dating
But,
app,
I mean,
what
even-
dating, what
even-
dating app is he on?
No, you know who this
Even-
person is.
Even when
the great.
you,
Because
even when you don't need a man per se,
they be wanting one to move in.
Right.
You
But why do
still-
you have to move in? Why does a woman need you to move in her house when you got your own? That means that you need to move in her house. That's not
To me, so a woman,
that's
if a woman wants to feel secure and have her man around, then she go want to live with her man.
live with her man. Right.
I think I don't understand her perspective, so I really can't
I didn't
speak
either.
to that. But I do know that, like, when it comes to bigger scheme
wanna
of
be
things, like
polyamorous
timing
without-
and what's right, yeah, when the time lines up, if you guys are meant together to be together, like, yeah, you will show up, because that's what's meant to be, and it's not always meant to be when we first meet or when you first start dating. Sometimes it takes time for things to fall into place. I can understand her saying, I can't understand her saying that out loud though. Like, but in her mind, like,
Yeah.
if it's meant to be, it'll be. I can
Say it out loud.
understand.
But she
those
still wanted
thoughts,
the benefits.
but not like, hey,
She
like,
wants
why
you to
don't
be
you
on
wait
the
here
team.
while I go?
No, she didn't want. She wanted me to be the team because she wanted me to come over there at her beck and call. She wanted me to help pay some bills.
She kinda
And-
alpha
and-
female.
And I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not going to work with me. I need you. I need some meals cooked. I need you to be the woman that you need to be, as far as we need to be there for each other emotionally when somebody's going through something, not just when you going through something. Because a lot of times it's a one-sided situation, and the person feels like because they're bringing sex to the table that it overweighs everything else, and it doesn't. There's other things that people need outside of just that thing when you're dating them to find out.
But
that's
see,
just my
do you see the
perspective.
conundrum here?
Yes.
Because you guys need more than the sex, but
We
you
do.
put the sex up front, which
Who?
is in the,
Well, I don't.
I don't
in
need
this
the sex.
conversation.
I don't need the sex. I
don't
I'm
need the
just
sex.
saying,
Right.
Like there was a
the
time.
energy
Right.
that
When I
men
did,
want that so early in the game. I think it puts into people's mind like I mean I can imagine how like a gold digger or somebody else could feel, because there have been times where I felt like you're not even gonna get to see the good stuff about me, like the jewels, because you're too busy. Once they get the sex, they never dig any further than the surface. But then I'll have deeper relationships with other people, and they'll want to know why we don't have that bond. Well, because all you wanted to do was have sex.
So let me ask you this.
You should have had sex with my mind, like
Flip
this person
flip
does.
that a
Right,
little
so-
bit and go off of the man wanting the sex and go to what the woman is wanting and what she's not going and digging deeper to get out of the man because he doesn't make a certain amount of money or he's not.
It ain't
this
necessarily
kind of way.
about that. I think
Or she just
I think
wants
we
the sex.
put worldly labels on things like the money, the da 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 da. But you have to ask yourself, for example, what does money represent to a woman?
Stability, power.
Stability, protection,
Mm-hmm.
not having to worry about so much when the world gives you enough to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Comfort.
Right.
If you can provide those things and have no money, that woman will probably be just as happy. But we get so caught up in the physical thing that's tangible, because that's something she can say, like, hey, I need you to have more money because I know with money comes this, that, and the other. But a lot of times we're not really honest with ourselves and saying it's not really the money. Because I've done well over long periods of times with not a lot of money.
Me
but
too.
all of my needs were provided that I would have bought with the money.
Right.
And that could have come from a person, and I would appreciate that as much as a dollar amount. But if it translates into security, not having to worry about, being able to do whatever you need to do at any given time, but not worry about finances, that's just security.
Do you think that you should
In
be
a
able to do
nutshell.
that stuff on your own before you even get to the man? Because that's what our
It
modern
is
women
hard.
are doing.
That's another
That's
thing.
what our
It's
modern
hard.
women are doing.
Modern women can provide some of the things that I just said come under the umbrella of money, but there are things you can't provide for yourself totally like you can with a companion. Like I said, what it really boils down to which is security.
So what about outside of just
Who's
stuff, right,
checking
and money?
security.
Outside
No, that's
of-
an idea. That's an essence. That's
I-
not even a thing
okay.
you can pick up and touch and hold.
What about emotional intelligence and being able to? My guy just got off of work. Mm-hmm. I got off of work. He hurt his neck. He said his neck hurt. Oh, you're so needy, right?
I don't know any women
being-
like that, Keaton.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you
here.
have, what I've
They're
learned
out
is that
here.
in relationships, if you run into
Because I don't know a lot of men that just want
scenarios
sex,
over and
You know?
over and over,
right?
it's something in you.
So when it's the guy wanting,
Because I don't feel like
sex,
chivalry is
it's the
dead. There are
woman's.
people
it's-
who won't let me touch a door. It's
so,
annoying.
so when it's the guy wanting something, it's the guy's fault. But when the woman is something, it's also an internal thing from the guy. Because what I'm asking is like when a woman is not nurturing, when a woman has a lot of
She's not
masculine,
inspired to
when
be
a,
nurturing.
I mean, in general, she's not nurturing to her children or other people
She's not
around
inspired
her.
to be nurturing.
Is that? But that's not a problem of the man. That's a problem of who trained her or her own internal things that she needs to work together. Because a man and children and other people need nurturing, feminine,
Absolutely.
energied women. And a lot of the women that are coming out, a lot of them don't know how to give a massage. They don't know how to cook. I don't even want to do those things.
That's not true.
Well, let me finish. Let me
'cause
finish.
that means they don't want to. Because who doesn't know how to put hands on the back and move them?
Man, listen, I'm trying
don't
to tell
want
you,
to.
they don't do it.
Sometimes they be.
Right, exactly. See, she don't get
But
that.
you don't want to learn.
Because they never have been challenged to
She
learn.
wasn't into.
Okay,
She wasn't
maybe-
because she was more
She
into
was
what
in-
she needed
Right.
for
It
her
was-
stuff.
She's already in a
than-
scenario with something else.
Right. She was
So-
like, well, this is what I need.
Yeah, man want to be desired.
And a man wants to be desired also. And it's not all about sex. Sometimes it's just, can we sit here and you lean on me and we watch this movie together? That intimacy piece is bigger than sex. And men need that too.
Sex ain't necessarily selfish for
Because it's
a
both
man,
of us.
Because it's really
Right.
many scenarios. It's me appreciating the woman
Right.
and her body,
Right.
and her neck, and all
Right.
that.
And the thing is, a lot of times we have some type, and I'm not going to get too detailed because we're in a PG thing, but we have certain types of
Are
control.
we?
We have certain types of control that we have to use. Otherwise, we would already be ready to go. But we're trying to make sure that we stick around so that we can make sure that you okay. It's not about us, In some of those scenarios, I'm just going to leave it right there. But any closing notes before we shut down this segment? Okay, so. Go
I'm
ahead.
saying like the more you desire, the more you perform.
Right.
Typically,
Yeah.
Right.
in a lot of instances. So
Desire leads to inspire. Inspiring is what moves people. Inspiration. Like, I feel like it's still a matter of, do you inspire me to be better with you or for myself?
Not all the time you're gonna have that. Like people go in
Well, then
loves.
I keep it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I keep it moving when I don't feel the inspiration because there are places where that inspiration does in fact exist, and I'm like, well, you can tell me it don't exist over there, and that's in your world. But guess what? Over here, we inspired.
So can you tell us about what artists told you about being married and having a wife?
it's pretty much gonna be so many different versions of that one person throughout years of being married.
Right.
And
Hopefully, you grow
the
together.
dedication and stick it out through all of it is what you sign up for.
Right.
Ultimately in a marriage. That's why they say for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have God, I made a vow before God, so for better or for worse, that I love that person. So that's was my motivation, not necessarily the individual who I fell in love with and who I made this vow to, because ultimately I made the vow before God.
Right.
And if people don't take that seriously, then the relationship is bound to fail. And even though I took it seriously, if it's unequally yoked, then it's bound to fail anyway.
Right.
Because it's just
You have to put
there's no
parameters.
appreciation for what you telling God that you're trying to do in life.
Now, one of the topics on here was cheating. Now, there's different ways of cheating. Emotional cheating. There's physical cheating. So if my wife is, say she's in school, or my girl, or the girl I'm dating singularly, and she's busy, and I need to talk about something, and I go and talk to my ex or some other female about that, and we get into a situation where I'm talking to this person now more than I'm talking to this person. This person's feelings may not have to be, but maybe should be taken into consideration because they're missing out on some of the connectiveness. Or should they be happy because you're getting your needs met and they don't have to do that responsibility?
So I have a problem with dating these days because to limit myself from having a platonic conversation that might be good for my soul, because it might be disrespectful to another person over here who might choose if they don't want me later on in life and wasting my time anyway, is kind of counterproductive, and I've experienced it. So I guess I got some walls up and not putting myself in a position where I can even be considered a cheater.
Right.
I ain't got to worry about breaking
Now,
up
what
with
does that
nobody.
mean? How do you get put in situations where? How do you do that if you're dating multiple people?
Open.
Are you openness and saying, "Hey"?
It's not even about necessarily dating a bunch of women, because it's not. I'm not involved or interested in dating a bunch of women.
Okay.
It sounds expensive, taking a whole bunch of women out.
Why is it expensive if you don't have that responsibility though?
Who said you don't have a responsibility?
Okay, so look, because this is what
You
happened.
said
Okay,
that.
so
You don't
true
want
story,
the
real
responsibility,
story,
but most men
true
take
talk,
it.
real story. Okay, so if a man
To
shows
go
or
out,
whatever,
enjoy
trying
it.
to take the woman out. All right, so this one girl
That's
wasn't even necessarily trying to
traditional,
date her. I was just enjoying the conversation, the intellect, good energy. Let's go get something to eat. That's what women like to do. Go get something to eat. Cool. So we go get something to eat a couple times. She decides one day, she's like, no, I got it this time. Dinner and movie, and then we had some dessert. She says that, hey, I'm going to invite you into the house. Which was a big deal even before it ever even happened. Like 2 days before conversation, like, no, it has to be a special moment. Okay, well, can I use the bathroom real quick? Or I can find a bush. You trying to walk the fence.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, I just got use the bathroom, wash my hands real quick, go out the door.
Right.
It was a big. So when she invited me up into the house, I knew I was about to be out of town. I knew that I'm gonna be distracted. I'm not gonna be able to text her or be on the phone with her. You know what I'm saying? And I know that if I'm up in her house and we just had dinner and a movie and some dessert, I'm single and I might be tempted to hit the neck bone up.
And what happened?
So I declined coming into her house.
Right.
She got in her feelings as though I went in and had sex with her, and then didn't call her the next day. Like I might as well did that because she still felt the same way.
What'd she feel like?
She felt like
You didn't want to come in.
she said, "I paid for dinner and a movie, and you ain't put out."
Oh, so that's
Now-
modern women.
Young smashers.
Right, young smashers, right. So there are women that feel that way. And it's not just a masculine men
No,
thing.
it's
Like,
not.
you know?
We know that because things have flipped a little bit.
Things
It's
have
flipped from. I mean, I know I probably didn't have a heightened level of awareness with the way things were done necessarily in the 80s because I was born in the 80s. But I feel like everything that was then,
It's flipped.
the things that I used to hear men doing, men, this, that, and the other, women doing it now. So it's interesting because now that we're copying, it ruffles feathers a little bit, but it's like what does society expect society to do but mimic itself?
Well, let me ask you this.
It's just going to regurgitate the same
But
things
if-
that are being put out over and over until someone changes the narrative and people change it as a whole.
Right. So as
Wrong
far
is
as
wrong, though.
so like not
People
even
don't care about wrong anymore.
Somebody
I'm not
that-
saying we don't. We do. But in general, look around. People are kind of a little off. Just a little bit.
And then there's like, okay, so there's dating, and then there's getting to know somebody. So maybe we went on a date, but it was more, we was just hanging out. I was getting to know her. And then in that process,
She thought it
And
was
she
a date.
was like, put it out.
Young
she
smash.
said it was a
That's
joke.
so offensive.
later
Now, is
on.
that offensive to you?
She said it was a joke. Yeah.
Joking or not?
I slick. I was
like, just because you
I told her, I said, well, hold on. First of all, if
bought
that
me on
was
this,
for
I
real,
should
if
give
that
you
was
my
for
body?
real,
That's not even a
I'm
good
worth
exchange.
more than even $100 dinner.
Thank you.
And some
Exactly.
movie,
Right.
and some dessert.
I'm
She
worth-
should have said
It's
that up
like-
front.
A
She should have
lifetime
said that up
commitment
front.
is what I'm worth. You talking about dinner?
She should have said that up front. If this is my expectations, and then y'all could have went to Domino's.
But hold on though. There's definitely, I don't even want to call them friends, but there's definitely girls that are available for a Netflix and chill type night. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
want to take them out. So,
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you
Right.
taking one out
Right.
and you doing some stuff, then
Right.
you are hopeful for a romantic ending
Mhm.
in some aspects when you are
It would be
putting
nice.
forth effort to try to make it.
Because you are putting forth that. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I
So-
agree. I agree with
So I
that.
wasn't knocking her, but I was like, nah, I'm not no hoe.
Because if you
I'm
said
not a
the
hoe.
same thing to her, she may have been a little offended. If you said, "Hey, I just took you out on this dinner, and I took you out on this
Wait a
movie,
minute.
and I didn't spend this hundo on you,
I'm gonna need you
and you ain't talking. You can't even come in the house, right? That might be. You're like, what? I should have saved my money. I could have went and spent time with my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You cool, but you ain't that cool. That's like, like that's why this is one thing that
The expectations off
right.
Yeah.
What I do is I talk to people up front a lot of the times, and I'll say, "Hey, is it okay if I touch your leg? Is it okay if this? What do you think about this? Hey, when we get done, so I can know." And there's nothing wrong with asking questions.
So there was a guy that I met in the studio in California, and he had about 3-4 women up in the studio. They was drinking while he was and doing his thing, and I was just like, man, I was slick, interested in how he had so many females around. It was cool having a good time. So I asked him, like,
Of course. Yeah,
like,
it's
man-
intriguing. Like, how'd you do that?
I mean, man, what's the secret, man? How you have all these girls around? He said, I don't sleep with them. I said, say what? He was like, yeah, don't have sex with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
and then one of them chimed in and was like, yeah, he's like my brother. And then the other one, and then but then they was like, oh yeah, but my friend though, you better hit her up. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right. Okay. Right. It's happening.
Not the last part. No,
It's
Yeah.
somewhere in there. It's happening.
Exclude the last
You
part.
can't though.
I don't want. I mean, that's not with my focus.
I
That
know.
was like a perk
But that's
for just not
important
sleeping
though.
with. So
But the friends outside of the scenario.
so I peeped
But they
game.
bringing other people
Not game.
to the scenario.
So I peeped his life that he had more females around him by not giving them sexual energy. And then so it was like, okay, well, I'd rather have females around me who care about me than just people that I'm have sex with.
Yeah.
So let me ask
So-
you this: all of those people, what are they pulling from him, and what is he giving them? I know the energy, the friendship, but there's an energy exchange here.
What are they pulling
Not,
from
not
him?
necessarily.
What are they
No,
pulling
there's
from him?
no, in a positive way, there's an energy exchange.
What
We're
are they-
It's
friends.
probably still the.
We're
I
friends.
mean,
Are
I
they
hate to
pulling
say
from
that,
him?
but the women are
Is that what
pouring
you're
into
saying?
him.
What are they pulling from him?
Yeah, what are they getting? Like the
Sure.
friendship, the studio time.
Man, they got
They
a
get
rapper
perks.
that they get this, you know
Work,
what I'm saying, behind
perks.
and support.
They
They
get
look at my homie, they
cloud
bouncing his
chase
music.
or
Camaraderie, friendship.
Yeah, the
Somebody
experience of
to
life.
hang with.
You-
So are they?
somebody to cheer on.
Okay.
hmm Somebody to experience life with no pressure.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
what,
That's very beneficial.
what,
Right.
what do people really do out here in life other than go to work, go home anyway?
Yeah.
Or go spend money
I mean, a
at
lot of
an
things.
establishment.
People do a lot of things out here outside of that, man. Like,
Some people create.
yeah, create relationship building, talking to folks.
You
They
can't,
do-
it's hard to relationship build when you in a relationship.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people.
So past certain hours, you
I know-
can't talk.
And that's the perimeters of certain relationships. I know people that are married that have because there's trust there, and they're not trying to have sexual relations with these people. They're not flirtatious, like they're not doing those things, so they can go out and stay out over somebody else's house that's the opposite
Okay,
sex,
so they-
or do any of those things because there's trust there, and they don't want those persons.
They built
Right.
the trust.
So
They
there.
built that
So
up.
it's not even
I've
that.
seen
So
that.
that's not necessarily the issue off in the relationship. It'd be more the person that missing them. Like, I miss you. I'm cool with you being over here, but I miss you.
Communication.
And then so the tug of war being places.
I don't think so. I just think you need to make sure you cover all your bases and make sure that that person's needs are met and they know who you are as a person. Like for me, I interact with a lot of females. I work in the Educational Institute and I do in films and I do a lot of things. So I interact with women all the time, right? I'm not having sex with all these women.
Right.
But the woman that I end up with will have to know that I have built up relationships through the years with women. So I'm going to be around them. They're going to be in the place. They're going to call me. I'm going to give them energy as far as counseling and different things that way. So she's going to know those things up front, and she's not going to get an attitude and say those things bother
Do you
her.
believe that? I mean, is that how that normally works out for you though? I'm
It has when I was in relationships
But
and
you
a
know,
person.
it sounds. Yeah, I know how females are. Like
Well-
I'm cool, but I'm like I know some people who are like, yeah, that's cool until a certain level of I got you, and then you know that's gotta go right.
Some people
I
are
feel
not
like
jealous
people
minded
will
though.
be waiting. Like not all
Some
people,
people
but
are
I
not
hear it a
jealous.
lot, and it's like that's why I don't do. I
Yeah,
like
some people
open
are
stuff.
just not
I don't
jealous.
think wings should be clipped. I think we should all be flying to some extent. And if a relationship makes you feel like you can't be free to have the experiences that I don't mean to be like bring God in this, but the experiences that God has for you,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we get attached to dead weight. Sometimes we get attached to haters. Sometimes we marry the op,
Right.
you know,
But
and
that was a
they're
bad decision on the person that married them.
but
though.
and it happens,
that
which
happens,
is why in
and
the
then a person
future,
will ask
moving
God to bless it.
forward, you
Yeah.
start to move a little
Yeah.
differently,
You ain't
so
so
that
just
you don't
quick to
end
just-
up
So-
in that
so
again.
let me- that's
like most people who've
interesting.
been married and divorced are a little more strategic in the way
Right.
that they date, and people who have never been married will look
See.
at it and be like, "Well, what are you doing wrong?" And it's like, yeah. The thing is,
Took a while.
I've made some mistakes already, and you're not going to understand how I'm moving because you don't know what those mistakes did to me. You don't know how it made me want to try to look at the
That's
world
why-
and how to experiment with different elements of the world and the way it is. And then being in a relationship for a long time and coming out into this world of dating, it's like it's all new. And it's different than you remember it being. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
definitely still have to maneuver in ways that other people who've been dating for a long time might look at you and be like, why you do it that way?
Do you not
'Cause this
think
is my
that
experience.
sometimes your mate or the person that you're with or dating or whatever may see something in a blind spot that you may not see
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
try to say, hey, this is what I see, and you just do not listen because
Oh
you're
no,
so
I want a mate who makes me better.
because you're so strong-willed and you're not willing to take that constructive criticism or that, hey, I don't feel good about this situation into account,
No,
and
I
then
like
say,
men who make me
and then
better.
say,
That's
hey,
some good stuff.
and
We
then
can
say,
do that.
hey, I don't feel good about this situation. You're like, well, I feel like it's an opportunity. I'm gonna go to Rick Ross's house, or I'm just throwing that out there, or 50 Cent's house, and 50 Cent trying to smash off the whim.
It doesn't
but
matter. Who
let me
cares?
but let me
That's a
finish-
woman's life,
but
though.
let me finish. though.
Everybody's
But-
trying to
but-
smash if you look
okay.
like something.
Okay.
Go to the gas station, you go to the
Okay.
grocery store, you can go
I
to the
get
post
that.
office. It don't matter.
Right.
It's just life.
It's about positioning.
That don't mean go close the door. and
Right, but it's
not
about
live.
it's about positioning also. And if you have a husband that's providing all of your needs and your security, and you're fine there, and let's say you're a singer, and because it just happened with what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name. I want to say, I don't want to say Trey Songz, but it was someone who was already married, and they went for an opportunity with their spouse to somewhere, and it broke everything up. Not because this person was jealous, but because they put themselves in that position. And sometimes
What happened?
when you something happened to where it was, you know.
Are we talking about entertainment people?
I'm talking about that's just an example
Most
that I
of people
happen
have
to
open
use.
relationships anyway to avoid all these problems.
Some don't.
They
And
kinda-
even just
they
out of
lived a
that,
little bit. They're like,
if you're in a business and you have a boss, right, or coworker, and something about your spouse says, "Hey, I feel some type of way about this particular situation." Are you going to make adjustments to make your spouse feel comfortable, or are you going to feel like they clipped your wings? Or
It
are you going to
depends.
balance that out to where you can make both things happen? Because
See,
sometimes you see
It's
things.
why
likely
be so
balanced
insecure,
first,
though?
but
Is it
it
an insecurity,
it
or is it I
depends.
see something?
It depends
It's
because sometimes
intuition,
your mate has a psychosis, so it really just depends. Every situation is different. Sometimes your
situation is
mate
different.
is just an insecure being.
right?
Yeah.
But what if
I
they
mean, because
see
I've had
something?
mates who
But
have
see-
pushed me out there. Let me
Right.
give you a ride.
Right.
Let me
Right.
be your
Right,
cheerleader
'cause they were secure.
on some odd stuff that someone else
Right.
might look at you and be like, you can't do that.
Right.
So, it really just depends.
They were
Everybody
secure in
is
that situation.
different.
So
Yeah.
it's about being secure in your situation,
Heck
but
yeah.
also, like, if I say, L.A.
I've
Fisher,
had some men put
I
me
don't,
on.
I don't
Like,
think that you should go to this situation because I got a bad feeling about it, or I had a dream about it. It may be an opportunity for you, but I'm telling you what God told me to tell you. Like, do you listen to that, or do you think I'm a hater? And for your same situation, like, and then when you go, let's say you go, and something bad happens, and you don't get it, or whatever the reason is, and in the future I come back and I say that again. Do you still think that I'm a hater, or do you listen? Because sometimes I've had people tell me, you know what, that may look like a good opportunity, but I don't think that's for you. I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I went anyway, and it ended up turning bad. Or I've had people say that to me, and I said,
We're
and
optimists.
you know what, I don't think that. No, they told me, yeah, that's for you, and I went in and I got it. Or they've said, hey, you shouldn't trust this person, and then time passed, and then that person who they said not to trust showed me that, and I, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
sometimes you have
you
to
gotta
listen.
be careful with that stuff.
You
too.
do.
Listening.
And pray for discernment.
Because we are
You have to pray-
all
but discernment,
ultimately
right.
creatives. We're creating our own life experience. So people who want to speak things over you, you have to be careful with that, because they are literally creating situations where they can come back and say, I told you so, because they said
I don't
it.
think everybody has that type of thought process. Like,
Not everybody, but I know,
I'm
like,
talking
for
about
me-
people that I value.
And when I speak things over people, I
opinions.
watch it actually
You know what I'm
happen.
saying?
That's why I watch what I say.
But I'm talking
I
about people
speak.
like
So in that
a
scenario,
grandmama
Life
or
on
your
a-
mama or somebody
Okay.
that's not a hater in your life. That's
So-
saying,
No,
hey,
your
so-
grandmother and
so
mother
those are the kind
sometimes
of people
are
I'm saying.
haters because they
Well-
weren't raised in an age where they understood that your mind
But for what-
creates.
I think I'm talking about something a little different.
but what
though.
she, but for
Either
what you
way, it still
specifically
applies
said,
over
right?
all,
If
even with profits.
if somebody that you care about says something that says, "Hey, don't go do this because of whatever,"
Mhm.
then and if you choose against it and you go do the thing, then you should give thanks to God for at least
That's your experience.
Changing the outcome.
changing the outcome, giving you foresight,
Right.
and notice that that person might be connected with God a little bit differently.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Reverence them or respect them in a little bit different manner
Right.
moving forward.
Right.
Learn from your mistake or the situation, however you're supposed to.
You gotta learn from it. Yeah, everything is a learning thing. That's true. I agree. But I
Yeah.
think that we have definitely dug into this dating and the modern life that we're having and
Women
texting,
trip, women
and
trip,
went
boy.
way above and beyond
This
that.
could go on and on
You
and
go,
Right.
on.
you go
to
on
be
3 dates.
continued.
They want you to just not date nobody else.
Right,
I know that I just want
Nobody.
to just keep just dating.
Well,
Just
you got to say that. So, roast time.
Okay.
Guys, we're going to roast it or toast it. So, I'm going to start with Dan Teray and tell us whether you're going to roast or toast this dating situation and your final thoughts. You got 1 minute.
I'm gonna roast it. I'm only roasting it because I feel like we have a lot of work internally to do as a people
Right.
if we want to strive to get back to the way things used to be. But in reality, I think the fact that, I mean, even with COVID and all of these things that have been going on, I think that people think it's going back to the way it used to be. Our lives will never be the same. So I think we need to be open to different ways of interacting with people without because most people want the freedom to love and be loved. So I'm gonna roast the whole dating situation because I feel like the mindsets behind dating are just garbage. Right. Okay, so it can't. I'm not saying it can't work for some people, but in general, I think we really need to go back and do a hard reset and go out here and try this thing again. But it really starts with a lot of people working on self and finding out what you want and then finding a match.
All right.
Instead of trying to make someone your match.
All right. L.A. Fisher, roast or toast? You got 1 minute.
Wow. I've had some very interesting experiences with dating, being married, trying to find relationships, being in relationships, and I'm gonna just roast it because I found my peace being alone. But I'm able to give out of the abundance of my heart, which is a lot of love, because I've found that there's God's love out here, you know what I'm saying, without being intertwined with a person.
Right.
But I'm able to be intertwined with people because I have more peace in my life.
You get to give a better aspects of yourself, better version of yourself.
And I'm not, and the expectations of where I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be with, isn't no expectations.
So you don't have to even worry about it.
Right, people are more just happy that I'm showing up nowadays, as opposed to.
So that's enough.
Hey,
sometimes just showing up is enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I've had people say, every time you see me, it needs to be a party. It needs to be a event.
I
and I'm
said
like,
that.
why?
I said that. But because you showed up to life.
But the thing is, that's not the responsibility, though. Responsibilities, though.
It's not a responsibility. It should be a natural occurrence. But if it's forced, then no, it shouldn't happen. You should just be around people who that.
So like my little nephew, every time he see Uncle Mert, he come run, I throw him in the air. He get lifted. Right. He get experience.
But that's not stressful for you to have to do it.
Right. So if somebody walking out the door and they want to be, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it need to be a celebration. Yeah. And
what about the day your back hurt and you can't do it? You got to explain that to that person. They going to be sad?
No.
Because that happens.
You know, my back hurt today, baby.
It happens, though.
You do something different.
Look, because I know kids. It happens, bro.
You figure out secret
You figure out something else. Compromise.
Right.
Compromise. Yeah. My roast or my toast is I toast because we need
to have.
We need somebody to toast this.
I toast this because I feel like we need to have this type of dialogue. We need to bring back those unions, even if it's not traditional, so that we can be nation building. Yes. Because at the end of the day, we need warriors, we need soldiers, we need the next generation to be strong and have masculine and feminine energy, and see people that have good mental health levels, emotional intelligence, and know how to gain money and build things. So that's why I toasted, and I think we need to carry on this dialogue in order to be able to continue to grow. Because if we don't, then you can't have babies by yourself. We just in general, and you can't teach those people the right things all by yourself either.
Side note.
Go ahead.
May 31st, 2021, 100-year anniversary, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. Black Wall Street burned to the ground. Mm-hmm. You talking about relationship building? That was in 1921. So it's a new age. It's a new day. We are going to start building and be better and not be hindered anymore.
Are we? Because we just had the 2021 insurrection and people still getting murdered in the streets. I think we're in a better place, but that's the topic for a different day.
Yeah.
And until next time, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time for another exciting episode of Roasting the World.
Mm-hmm.